Good morning and welcome to Essential Ingredients. This morning I have the pleasure of having on today Francesco Arlia, the founder and CEO of Harvest Harmonics. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me.
I think we talked over each other there. Thank you for having me. Francesco Arlia is the full name.
Thank you. Thank you. So you are the CEO and founder of Harvest Harmonics, and we're here to talk about the product that you have a license for and learn a little bit more about what Harvest Harmonics does. So can you tell us a little bit about Harvest Harmonics and more specifically about this product that you have a license for?
Okay, so the product or the technology behind the product is the KYMINASI Plant Booster. Okay, and it is a
just before you go on, I just want to clarify. This is what you have a license for. This is what we're talking about right now, just so our listeners can differentiate. This is not Harvest Harmonics. What you're talking about and explaining right now is what you have a license for.
Is the original technology that was, well, it's a unique story because the original technology was developed by Fulvio Balmelli, and I funded his research, and that earned me the exclusive rights to the exclusive distribution worldwide. So there's the connection between Fulvio Balmelli and his company called K Project and my company, Harvest Harmonics.
Okay, so before we talk about this license and this project that you have, tell us, what is Harvest Harmonics?
So Harvest Harmonics is an international distribution company for the KYMINASI Plant Booster. The KYMINASI Plant Booster product is a low frequency radio wave system that induces plants to grow faster, healthier, completely natural, completely organic, just using their own natural bioresonance. And so what the technology actually does, or how simple it is, it's installed on an irrigation system of a farm, okay? And every time the water goes through the irrigation system, it's infused with over 3,000 low radio wave frequencies, signals. Just think of us as communication signals that is sending this communication signals and sending this data, pre-programmed data to the plants, but the plants are receiving data that is inherent to their natural genetic makeup. So the plant is receiving data that is designed to help them in whatever their natural genetic makeup is. So it works with any type of plant. It just gets that plant, like turbocharged. It's almost like, just a better you. Think of it as a better you, right? So the plant, right, is dealing with, all types of environmental issues, all types of attacks from diseases and insects and weather changes. So the plant, they have all these challenges, but what we do is we give them these signals that help it deal with whatever challenge it's dealing with any time of the day. Because once the plant absorbs the signals will stay inside the plant, and the signals are part of their natural genetic makeup. So it's not something adverse to what it's already used to. So if the plant is already, and all plants are absorbing sunlight, okay, from the sun, right, for the process of photosynthesis, our technology helps the plant to absorb more sunlight more efficiently. Okay, it needs water. We help it to absorb water more efficiently. It needs nutrients. We help it to absorb nutrients more efficiently.
Okay, no, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's totally fine. I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of questions.
What I want to do is really understand. So for the people listening, What I
Sure.
want to do is break this down. I want to understand, how is this different than what's been happening elsewhere? Why is this unique? How is this impactful for our health?
Okay.
And why should people, and why do we want to get people to do this? So if we could break this down by question, by, individually. So look at one
Okay.
thing at a time.
So,
So let's look at the first question. Why is this better for us?
okay. So there's several reasons, but let's start with, the most basic. If the plant is absorbing more nutrients from the soil, then, and more efficiently, then two things are happening. It's using less inputs from the farmer. So the farmer doesn't have to spend a lot more money to put into the field. So this farmer gets to save money,
Mhm.
right? So it's good for the farmer. So why is it good for the public? Well, the public now gets a more nutrient dense fruit or vegetable. So they're eating a healthier fruit or vegetable, which, by the way, didn't cost the farmer, much more money.
Right.
Actually, the farmer is going to save money and make more money because he's going to be able to produce more. So the farmer can actually keep his prices the same, right? And make more money because of the abundance, the extra yield that he's going to generate, right? Whereas the public gets a better quality product because there was, less herbicides used, less pesticides used, less synthetic fertilizers. I mean, if they're using natural fertilizers, it's fine, but if they're using anything that's not natural, well, that gets into the food, and we eat all that food. So if we are producing better quality fruits and vegetables, and it's gone even beyond that. We have cow farming, like that. They're not farming cows, they're milk growers. They're basically milk producers, but they have cows and they have to feed them. So they have them grazing. And when they're grazing with our, produced grass, because it's more natural, they're producing more milk and better quality milk.
Okay, so
So
now
that's like a big deal.
that it's a huge deal. And so I want to just give our audience and our listeners an opportunity to understand, what does this look like for the farmers? So what is the experience for the farmers, and how does it work for them?
Hold on a second. Actually, I can do that pretty easily. You ready?
Okay.
So if I turn off my,
Do I have to make you a co-host?
No. If I turn off my video and I put my picture, it's a picture of me on a farm next to an installation I just did.
Okay, so for our listeners doing the podcast, you're not gonna be able to see this, but tune into the video cast and you'll be able to see what he's showing us.
Cool.
Okay,
So,
thanks for showing that. I love a little show and tell. Oh, there you go. Yes.
Okay, so that's in North Florida. That was a
Okay.
tomato and orange grove. Okay.
Okay.
And there's a lake behind me, and the water is being pumped from that lake.
And so what are we looking at?
You're looking at, you see the red, white, and green label?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Underneath that label is a micro transmitter system that I installed. And then if you look closely, you'll see three steel belts, and I lock it all in with a steel belt system because, it's valuable stuff. People are going to try and steal it. So,
Okay.
but that's me when I just finished that particular installation. The installations are not complicated. They're actually quite simple. And that's one type of an installation. But,
so once you've installed it, how easy is it for the farmer to use?
Oh, every time. He doesn't do anything else. There's no maintenance required from him. The only thing that we do is every 6 months, we ask him to send us a little vial, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a tiny little vial of water. It has about 10 drops of water in it. We want him to collect it from his field, and he ships it to us. Then we ship it. Every Friday we ship a package of vials of water from all over the country, and we ship them to Italy. And our laboratory in Italy analyzes them all to make sure that the frequencies are in the water operating at 100% capacity. And if they're not, we replace the system. But as long as they are, then we just send an email to the farmer, letting him know that the system is operating, perfectly, and just carry on. But the farmer, he's going to see it anyway, because he starts seeing his farm, just doing better.
Okay, so how does the farmer find out about this first?
Well, we have different ways of contacting farmers.
Okay,
No,
so the farmer, and they pay for this? They have to order this? Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay,
Absolutely.
so
They buy the technology from us. All right. We have it installed. Either we train them to install it themselves, or we send someone to professionally install it.
Okay. And farmers, is this expensive for farmers? Is it prohibitively expensive?
No, it's an investment.
It's an investment.
It's an investment, because anything that is a cost is something that doesn't, thank you. Anything that's a cost, right, is something that doesn't give you a return on your money, right?
Right.
So what we look at ourselves as an investment to helping you produce better products, make more money, and get a return on your investment. And we have a 100% money back guarantee. If we don't prove that we're making you more money, we're doing better for you, then we take the product back, we give you money back.
So
this is what it would look like, by the way.
Okay, so for our listeners, can you maybe walk them through so they can visualize this, because they can't see it if they're listening to the podcast?
Okay, so this is basically a 1 inch by a 3 inch pipe that has a encasement, okay, PVC encasement, and in the PVC encasement is the micro transmitter system. And then, we have this filled with a resin so it's nice and solid so it doesn't fall apart. Okay, so that's a small one.
And so what is this micro transmitter system exactly? What is that doing?
It is every time the water passes through that pipe, it is putting over 3,000 radio signals into the water, low frequency radio signals into the water. And each one of those signals has to deal with a certain area of the plant's environment and the plant's health and the plant's production. So there are hundreds of frequencies that deal with photosynthesis. There are hundreds of signals that deal with the digestive process of the plant. There are processes that help the soil to be more nutrient absorbable. In other words, to help the nutrients in the soil be more easily absorbable by the plant. And how is that done? We're making the water more absorbable. All right, so there are signals that are helping the water to be more absorbable. We actually are just about to put out a white paper from the company. It's about 150 pages, okay, that breaks this down step by step and really, explains it. And we're about to put that up on our website, because it came from Italy, and we had to have it translated and then, converted into proper English. And so there's a whole process, but it'll be ready in a day or two. It'll be up on our website.
Can you tell us now, using this process, how is it beneficial for both our health? Let's start with our health. How is it better for our health?
So if you're eating apples, okay, that have been, just because the farmer didn't have to spend the money on the pesticides, because he saw that the apple tree was doing much better, right? Farmers don't want to spend this money. They don't want to use these chemicals. They have to do it in order to protect the tree from the pests. But if all of a sudden the tree is so much healthier that it doesn't need the pesticides, then we're not exposed to those pesticides. So now we're eating apples, and that's just one example.
That are pesticide free. That
pesticide free, So, well, I'd like to say pesticide reduced, because we've reduced the use of pesticides. I can't say that we've eliminated them.
Right.
Okay. But the idea is that the food is now healthier, right? Plus, if the tree is healthier and is producing more nutrient dense apples, well, now you're eating a healthier apple. and it's usually a sweeter apple, you know, and it has a better taste. What we've also noticed, which is a benefit for the consumer as much as it is for the farmer.
And for the environment. I mean, really.
I'm sorry?
It's also for the environment, it's
Oh,
beneficial.
but we're going to talk about, you want to talk about health. The environment
is. No, I was just, as you're talking about the farmer, you're talking about this. I was just adding on.
Yeah,
it was just
your mind is
an
already going. I see it in your eyes. Your mind is already going. You're like, wow, this is incredible. This could, you know, and so I see you think, but that's what happens as we're talking to people. You know, they start thinking, wait a minute, if it's good for the plant and you're reducing this and you're reducing that, you're reducing pesticides, you're reducing herbicides, you're reducing, you know, all these other inputs, because most people don't even know that the farmer is putting more nutrients, right? Nitrogen, phosphorus, all types of nutrients into the soil, that then when it rains, those nutrients, they leach and they seep into the soil and then they get into our groundwater, right? And so it does affect the environment, because the plant is only utilizing, you know, 20 to 30% of that. So if the plant is using, you know, 20 to 30% of the actual fertilizers that are being put into the ground, and we have a system that gets the farmer to use less because more is being absorbed by the plant, so less is being wasted in the environment, which hurts the environment, right? So now the farmer benefits by using this. So there's several financial benefits to the farmer. There are several environmental benefits, as I just explained why. But the real benefits come to the quality of the food to the consumer.
Essential Ingredients is powered by Next Gen Chef. Next Gen Chef is a movement that supports food and beverage entrepreneurs around the world by fostering a sense of community and providing its members access to mentors and a wealth of resources and guidance. Next Gen Chef feeds members with the knowledge they need to build better for you food and beverage businesses, so the world can have greater access to healthier food, comprehensive food education, and increased affordability. If you like what you hear on this podcast, continue the conversation or ask new questions on the Next Gen Chef app, available in the Apple Store and Google Play. Follow Next Gen Chef on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at Next Gen Chef. Join Next Gen Chef and let's change the future of the food industry together.
You know what I would love to just, you know, the other thing I really want to talk about in this conversation, because I hear your passion in it and I love the impact that you're sharing. And we've given our listeners a real opportunity to hear what it is you're talking about and hear what the product is and hear how the farmers get to incorporate this into what they're doing and how they benefit and how the end consumer benefits, both on a personal level with regards to their health and wellness, as well as the environment. And so what piques my interest is how you got involved in this, because I hear the passion. And, you know, as an entrepreneur, I wake up every day and I'm excited to do what I do because I feel that it is directly related to what I love. So I got to ask, where does the passion come from?
Well, look, it's a long story. I'm gonna give it to you as brief as I can. But basically, I'm first generation American, so I traveled to Italy as a kid almost every 2 years for the last 40 years, and I know the difference between eating, you know, food in Italy and eating in Europe and eating in the United States. And there's a big difference. Anyone who's traveled knows the difference. I'm not saying something that is not a valid statement. Right. You know? And I always had this idea that there should be better quality food, you know, but my background is a forensic accountant. And so I investigate criminals, you know, I investigated crimes, you know, financial crimes. But put all that aside, just put that aside. I always wondered why the food was so different in the United States than in other countries. And so at one point, I was in Florida on some business, and I got a phone call that my mom had just had a congestive heart failure attack, you know, And this for me was a little nerve-wracking because I know, just because as a CPA, I also have many clients that are doctors. I know there's not a cure for that, or they don't know of a cure, right? And so that concerned me. But then I was still on business in Florida when she had her second attack the following month. And that really concerned me. And so now I started looking for, some solutions, because she had a third attack in January of 2014. And now, speaking to the doctors, we kind of got the idea she had 3 to 4 months to live. So my mother was now terminal. That made me really nervous. My best friend, I didn't want to lose my mom, right? So I started aggressively looking for solutions outside of the United States, making phone calls on the internet, just looking for solutions. A friend had recommended a biomedic center in Como, Italy, right? And I contacted them. I translated all my mother's medical records into Italian. I sent them over to Italy. They reviewed everything. They said, look, she is terminal. She doesn't have much time. But if you get her here fast, we could possibly save her life. And I said, okay, good. So against all odds, I convinced my mom of this. She knew she was going. So I asked, I said, you can die at home, die on a plane, but if we make it to Italy, you have a good chance of living. And she's like, okay, so let's go to Italy. So she's from Italy, so it's like she's going back to her home country. So we went, we survived the plane, oxygen tanks, wheelchair, the whole 9 yards. I mean, did you know how expensive it is to bring oxygen tanks on a plane?
No.
Yeah, you have to rent special tanks. They're $1,000 a week.
Oh my God.
To rent special oxygen tanks. So it cost me $4,000 in just having the oxygen tanks, because we were in Italy for $5,000 because we were in Italy for 5 weeks. So I had to rent them every week. So anyway, pay the rent for the 5 weeks. Anyway, the bottom line was, it was well worth the entire trip, because my mom gets there, she gets evaluated, and within 1 hour, okay, Mr. Balmelli, who's the inventor of this technology, okay, figured out exactly what was wrong with her and where it was coming from in her body. And he said, look, if you stay here for a month, maybe a little longer, we could save her life. And I said, okay, let's do it. So we stayed there. And I called my accounting firm in New York, and I said, this is going to be the first tax season in 20 something years that I've ever not been there. So I'm not going to be there. And they survived on their own. But I was there with my mother, and sure enough, I saw her start to blossom. She went from someone in a wheelchair to not needing the oxygen, to not needing the walker. I mean, not needing the wheelchair and using a walker. And it was an amazing transition watching her, change.
Right.
And while I was there for these 30 days, remember, I'm a forensic accountant. I'm an investigator. I'm like this Kojak type person, The only difference is I have hair, And so I started asking questions and investigating, like, how did you do this? How'd you come up with this? And he was appreciative of my questions, and he answered a lot of my questions. And then he started asking me questions, and he found out that I was, a very savvy business person. And he said, well, look, I have other technologies. Would you help me bring them to the world? And my answer was, you saved my mother's life. I will do anything, any form of gratitude, I will do anything. Then he's like, okay. So he started showing me some of his different technologies. And then he showed me the one that he was working on for food, and how he was getting plants to grow better using just this similar radio waves that he used to save my mother's life. But they were for the body. These were for plants. Right. And he showed me this lemon tree that he had grown. And he showed me all these other plants. And I seen this laboratory, and I was like, okay, this is like Star Trek type stuff. This is really, really super advanced. And he's like, yes, but it's not ready. And he goes, it's going to need a lot more money to finish the research. But it could be done. And I said, fine, I will fund the research, and I will be more than happy to back you up, because I have a passion for food. I have a passion for helping others. I have a passion for finding out a better way of doing things. And I have a passion for you because you saved my mother's life. So, I'll be more than happy to work with you. So I basically was working with him for 2 years, just 2 years. And I kept sending money to Italy for him to continue his research. He had sent me some trial technology to use and start doing some trials. So we started doing some preliminary trials in 2015 and 2016. And I kept sending money. He kept sending me technology to keep trialing. And we were seeing results. The only thing that wasn't possible was we hadn't broken the code on how to get this into a commercial farm so that we can help farmers, because by helping farmers, we can help people. And if we can help people eat better quality food, we can bring health, worldwide. And that was his passion. The reason he developed this technology is because he wanted to save more lives. He can save lives in his medical center in Como, Italy, but he can only save so many lives, because there's only so many people that him and his team could see in a day, right? But if he could develop a technology that would influence the food and the water on planet Earth, then he could save a lot more lives and keep people healthier for many more years. And that was his goal. And so I became passionate about his goal. It aligned with my passion, and I said, okay, so let's do it.
So what's your goal now? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, what happened is 2 years later, I wasn't expecting this. 2 years later, he says, listen, you got to come to Italy. And I was going to Italy like almost every 3-4 months, maximum every 6 months for meetings. But he says, but you got to come right away. So I was like, okay, fine. So I went, and he said, look, you've done an amazing job. You've helped us so much. We want you to be the exclusive distributor for the entire world. Like, we want this to be your baby just as much as it is ours. And I said, that was an honor.
Right.
And they said, look, you've gotten us to the finish line. We're almost there. But we want to have this agreement with you now. And I said, okay, fantastic. So then from there, I finished the funding. He finished the research. And the rest is history. By October 2019, this technology was ready to service the entire world. And it had already been tested, scientifically documented. And so we're rolling now.
And so now tell me, how many different farmers are you working with now?
We're up to, we did a soft launch in the end of 2019. We did a hard launch in the beginning of 2020. And in the year of COVID, in the last year and a half, we're up to about 350 farms in 18 countries.
Wow, amazing. That's great.
Yeah. And now we're expanding more in the United States. Like, we're focusing now on the United States.
And so what's your big goal now what's the impact you hope to have globally with changing the future of food?
I tell you, I stopped drinking milk 35, almost 40 years ago. I want to drink milk again, and we have farmers that are using our technology in South America that, according to their statistical analysis and their scientific analysis, it's better quality milk and it's healthier milk. And I want to drink that milk that I was drinking, many, many, many years ago. I want better quality fruits. I want better quality vegetables, but I want this for everyone.
Right.
Like, everyone should be eating and drinking, healthy products. So at the end of the day, it's giving something to the world that they are going to, utilize and benefit from. And if you think about it, in the past year and a half, what's one of the biggest concerns that everybody has? Health, right? Like, the fear of dying has been spread all over the place with the pandemic. So people are really becoming more and more health conscious, and so that's it's a good thing. That was my intention, to help, make people more health conscious. I wasn't relying on I wasn't thinking with a pandemic that would be the driving force. But the reality is, if you had a strong immune system, guess what? You wouldn't need, all of this you wouldn't need the vaccines. You wouldn't need all this crazy medication. You eat healthy food. You drink healthy water. I mean, I'm not saying that medication is not important. I've used medication. I use medication. But the bottom line is, I'm also a very healthy person because I eat healthy. So I don't get sick very often. Right. When I do, I do. It happens.
Well, I'm so glad that you were able to join us, share your story so that we can learn about Harvest Harmonics as well as this amazing work that you're doing on this. And it's just great. And your story is inspiring. And I love the passion and I love the impact that you're having and what you're bringing to the world. So thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me on your show. I inspire everyone to check out what we're doing, at Harvest Harmonics.
How would everyone reach out to you? How would they find out more about what you're doing?
You go to harvestharmonics.com,
Great.
That's HARVEST, Harvest Harmonics, HARMONICS.com. And if anyone is interested in knowing more, you could just give us a call, 727-324-6750. And we're looking forward to getting this out and getting more people involved, actually,
Wonderful. Well, we will make sure to include that all in the show notes as well. And for those of you that are joining us on the podcast, we're so happy to have you. Again, if you don't check out if you haven't checked out our podcast, because we are a video cast and a podcast, don't forget to follow us each week on iTunes or iHeartRadio. And thank you again for joining us on Essential Ingredients. Thank you, Francesco. And we look forward to seeing you here again next week.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
To find out more about this episode of Essential Ingredients and access show notes, check out Next Gen Chef and choose podcast in the menu bar. If you like this episode, head to iTunes or Next Gen Chef's YouTube channel to subscribe. Learn more about Next Gen Chef, the platform that powers this podcast, by checking out our website or visit us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Next Gen Chef. You can also check out my Instagram at Justine_Reichman. If you have thoughts about this episode or future episode ideas, leave us a comment at Next Gen Chef's YouTube channel or drop an email at team@nextgenchef.com. Thanks for joining us.